Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Backed by popular demand, my guest today is Dr. Akil Taher. He is going to be talking about a very important topic, heart disease, but specifically in women, and why it's so often missed and even dismissed. Please welcome him to the show. It's so nice to see you again. And what have you been up to since the last time you've been on?
Thank you so much for those kind words, Chef AJ. The last time when I was here, I believe that your audience, your viewers had asked me to do an audio on my book, Open Heart. Well, it is going to be done end of this month. It's going to be on audio on Amazon.
That's amazing. Oh, I love that.
So it is going to, and in my voice, that's what the audience wanted.
Yeah, no, so you have you are wonderful to listen to.
Except for the pronunciations at times.
It's okay. It is quite all right. I love Audible. I'm actually listening to a doctor who's going to be on the show, her book right now. So terrific.
So do I carry on now, or do you
Yes, please. This is a very important topic because isn't it true, Dr. Taher, that the symptoms of even a heart attack are often different in males and females?
Absolutely. And I'm going to touch on all these wonderful topics. So first of all, let me just tell the audience, women are more likely to miss the warning signs of a heart attack and waiting sometimes for hours before they can dial 911 and reach an ER or the hospital. Now, this may be due because they do not have the usual kind of chest pain, and there may be very vague and subtle symptoms. But even when they go over to the hospital, to the ER, to the doctors, they too are likely to downplay the symptoms and send them home. So let me go for the first slide over here. There are so many whys in heart disease in women. Why have women's heart disease diagnosis and treatment lag behind men? Why is there so much awareness for breast cancer, which is fantastic, and not that much for heart disease in women? Why are symptoms of heart disease missed by women and people around them? And why are they so often dismissed by doctors? And why are symptoms of heart attacks different in men and women? So I want you to understand the subtle symptoms of heart disease so that women can be empowered with this knowledge to reach in time to the ER or the hospital and ask the right questions to the doctors. Having said that, let me just briefly talk to you about heart disease. It is the leading cause of death in the US and worldwide for both men and women for 103 to 104 years in a row, and killing more people than all the cancers combined. I'm not trying to undermine cancer, but it does. And if you look at it, one person dies every 36 seconds of a heart disease, most likely a coronary artery disease. And then heart disease killed about 314,000 women in the year 2020 of coronary artery disease as the main cause. And younger women are getting impacted too. If you look, 16% of women over the ages of 20 are having coronary artery disease. And it costs US 300 odd billions of dollars. So going to this beautiful organ, the jewel that we have been given, the heart, it beats about 100,000 times a day in delivering about 2,000 gallons of blood to every little tissue and organ in the body. So in a lifetime of, say, 70 years, it beats 2.5 billion times. If we have to look after this heart, we need to know that it is getting the right nutrition, the right blood. So where does it come from? It comes from this huge vessel, which we call aorta, and then you get it into the vessels that carry the blood to the muscles of the heart. The right coronary, over here is a right coronary, here is a left, which is going down, and that is a circumflex going behind. Now think about this, the LAD. What was it called for the longest period of time? It was called a widow maker. That means because for the longest period of time, it was not a women's disease. It was a man's disease. So when men died, widows. But now it is a leading cause of death in women too. So it should be called the widower maker too, because women can die and men can become widowers. So having said that, let me then go around to the next slide. Now, this is just a cross-section of a coronary artery that I was talking about. It is not rocket science, trust me. We have these arteries and veins running 50,000 miles in our body. So this coronary artery that I'm talking about has an inner lining endothelium. This endothelium produces nitric oxide, which is a very powerful dilator of the coronary, keeps the coronary artery dilated, keeps the blood flowing smoothly in the passage in the lumen, and protects the arterial wall. When you eat the whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, it keeps this endothelial cells really healthy. But what happens when you eat a rich, unhealthy diet? The standard American diet of dairy, eggs, meat, carbonated sugar, or the junk food vegan diet, like our bad Indian diet. What really happens? Oil, processed foods, saturated fats, and sugar. What happens is it damages that endothelial lining that I was talking about. Now you have the culprits in the shadow. Here comes your cholesterol, your calcium, your fibrin, and boom, it starts forming all this usual yellow-looking, gooey-looking stuff, which are called the plaques. And these plaques keep on and on forming for years and reduces the lumen and narrows the lumen, so much so that you get chest pain on exertion, and this is what we call as angina. Now, trust me, folks, this may be shocking to you, but if you had a choice of getting an angina and a heart attack, trust me, an angina is far better. Because if you look at a heart attack, what happens? These are the younger friable clots that rupture suddenly. And there's a sudden blockage to a certain part of the heart. This is a heart attack where 50% of the people die with the first heart attack. So we go on to the first question I had. Why has the research, the diagnostics and all lagged behind in women? Because since 1984, more women died of heart disease than men did. In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, it was believed to be a man's disease. And it was written in all the medical textbooks. This is what I learned when I grew up and learned and trained to be a doctor, that it was a man's disease. Now, if you look over here, and since 1984, the man's disease has gone down, 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 down. The red line is men. The white line is women. The women's has gone up, 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 and the gap was widening. So this suggested at the national level that what was the diagnostic and therapeutic strategies were actually for the last 50 years were for man, in man, by man, so that it worked very well in men, but did nothing for the women. So now is an important. You have what you call right now, these two important women that I want to mention. This is your Barbara Streisand, who in her brilliant movie, Yentl, what she did was, she depicted in Yentl as she portrayed a young woman who wanted an education. Now, how did she get this education? In fact, that was a directorial debut. How did she get this education? She wanted to learn the Talmud, which was the ancient teachings of the Jewish law, but she could not get in because she was a woman. So what did she do? How did she get educated? She had to impersonate a man, look like a man, make others believe that she looked like a man so that she could have the same rights as men and could get admitted into the school. At the same time, we had this brilliant cardiologist, what is the name? Bernardine Healy. And this doctor, this cardiologist, also in the 1984s that I showed you the graph, was wondering, why are women dying 2, 3, 4 times more than men of heart disease? And she wrote in the New England, that was her editorial that she wrote in the New England Journal of Medicine. Is this a Yentl syndrome? Is this because women don't look like men? They are not treated or the diagnostics are not done as well? And this opened up eyes that why mortality rate was going down in men, but not in women. Having given you the history of why women were lagging behind, let me go to the next question of why. Why so much of research on cancer? Now, these are two diseases that have heart disease kills more women at all ages than breast cancer. Now, again, this is not a competition. Please, please, we need to be as good as a breast disease campaign to address this crisis. Now, when someone sees this, there's a gasp. They tell me, Dr. Taher, what are you talking? But think about it. You can always think about a young woman having breast cancer, but you cannot think about a young woman having a heart disease because heart disease kills more often than anything else. So if you've got a heart attack, whether man and woman, 50% of the women or men die with the first heart attack. There is no time to say your goodbyes, to take her to chemotherapy, or to buy her a wig, as it happens in breast cancer. So 40 years of this awareness of breast cancer, 40 years of these great things that were happening, people poured in money, research was done. And the first ladies, I think it was Betty Ford and Nancy Reagan, who came around and said, I've got breast cancer, and it is okay to talk about it. So they started finding out ways how to deal with this. And so at that time, the mortality rate for breast cancer came down to 4%. And it should be the same for heart disease in women. We have to get there. I think we are getting there. Barbara's doing some superb work, and so are the others. So we go on to the thing. This is what people have this idea of what I call the Hollywood or the Bollywood type of an heart attack. Clutching your chest, going down on the floor is what is people know. So women, when they don't get this kind of heart attack, both men and women get this kind of heart attacks too, but women don't have these symptoms, they take it lightly. So the idea is that you can get this, even if some of the people may have seen Sanford and Sons, the TV show, where Sanford would hold his chest and go on the ground saying he's got chest pain because he didn't want to do some work. And that means that was a kind of, this is stuck into people's head. This is the type of heart attack. No, not always. So we did a little bit of homework and we found that women have jaw pain, not chest pain, but chest discomfort, backache, extreme fatigue, and nausea. So we decided for the next few slides, just bear with me. They're just pictures, but I want you to really, really look at these. Look at this woman. She's having a severe kind of what you call fatigue, as if she has run a marathon. And then you have this woman with shortness of breath, not having any asthma or any reactive airway disease or allergies, jaw pain, sudden neck pain, back pain, and shoulder pain, or heartburns. Now, all these symptoms, please, I beg you, do not next time you get a shoulder pain or a back pain, run to the ER. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, do not ignore the out of blue issues, the out of blue symptoms. That means to pay attention to the change of patterns in your body. Meaning, let me give you an example. Say I have digestive problems. Now, if I take a spicy meal, I'm going to get heartburn. It's gastro, no doubt about it. But if you're not somebody who has got digestive problems, somebody who suddenly gets heartburn, it's not going away, it's getting worse. Warning sign. If you've got a backache or a shoulder pain, neck pain, stretch it out. Take a Tylenol, take ibuprofen. If it gets better, good. But if it does not, warning sign. Shortness of breath, not asthma, not this. So I know of a lady who had toothache for a long period of time and nobody could find out. Eventually, she got her tooth extracted, but the pain was still there till the cardiologist found that it was heart disease. So my take-home message, and I'm repeating again, out of the blue issues should be taken seriously, period. Now, but even if you do have, a doctor thinks you're having a heart attack, what happens? The event may not show up on the standard test. We are talking about the coronary artery now, the blockage is in that. The usual test of using troponin, for example, the protein that is there released in the blood when the heart muscle is damaged. This troponin does not necessarily go high in women unless it is a sensitive troponin that is being used in UK and possibly in some large centers in US. That increases the diagnosis of heart disease in women by 42%. So, and then you have some people who experience silent heart attack, experience no symptoms. Who are these people? Most likely they are older adults, women again, and diabetics. Because of their nerve problems not getting the pain sensations, they tend to have a neuropathy and can get literally a silent heart attack. So having this in our bag, we decided to go ahead and do the WISE study. Again, don't get nervous about this. It's very simple. The sex differences in heart attacks. If you look at this lower picture, this is a man's heart attack. A huge clot in the center. You do an EKG, it's absolutely positive. You do the blood work and the troponin levels are high. This person is taken to the cath lab, boom, boom, boom. His clot is removed and he has stents or bypass or whatever. Men explode. Chef AJ, men explode. Women implode. Women look at this, there's no big clot. They're imploding, they're slow. So when these girls reach over into the ER, what happens to them? What happens to them? The troponin levels are normal, the EKG is normal, and they're sent away. They said, maybe it's some gas, or you've got anxiety, or it is in your head, and they're sent home. So having this knowledge, we decided to do, we picked up on this, and then said, we have the ability to look inside the human body with these special catheters called the IVUS, intravascular ultrasound. And we said, we're going to hypothesize that the plaques in women are different than plaques in men, and they're deposited differently in women. We're going to hypothesize this. And so to get the hypothesis, we said, look at men and women, how they get obese. So you look at a man, where is it? Where does he get fat? Right here. But look at a woman. She has the cellular here, all over. She knows how to keep her garbage smoothly away. Well, we men, we're lazy. We just dump it into this one place, the belly. So that led us to a further kind of a thing as to why we are now going into a further study of figuring it out, a male and female pattern plaque. So if you look at this yellow, this is the men's. If you look at the yellow, this is a plaque. It's lumpy, bumpy, like a beer belly. Look at the way the graph goes. I can't show you the graph over here, but again, the female pattern. Look at the plaque. Nicely and tidy laid out. So what happens if you do an angiogram? It is very easy to pick up the men's disease, but not that easy to pick up a woman's. And so what happens again? Nobody knows what is happening to them. So their angiogram is negative. So this is what I said regarding the coronary artery, which are blocked. But you can get chest pain with other problems of the heart too, which I want your audience to understand. The reason being that this is the time to ask the right questions. Coronary microvascular dysfunction. What is it? See, these are the coronaries that we talked about. And then from the root of each coronary comes out tiny little blood vessels, tiny little arteries. They also have the endothelium that they go to the muscles of the heart and supply blood so that everything is okay. Now, what happens if these are not, the endothelium is not functioning properly and they get obstructed or their blockages, these tiny arteries we are talking about, then you start getting chest pain like you're getting a heart attack. So who are the people who need a test for this? There's a test for this. Who are the people who need this? People who have got chest pain, shortness of breath, have a positive stress test, but a negative heart angiogram. They should ask for this test, which is called the coronary reactive testing, which takes about 60 to 90 minutes. The doctors first measure the flow of blood through the heart. Then they give some dilators, medications that dilate this minute little arteries. And the blood flow, blood flow improves in these arteries. If it does not improve the blood flow, then most likely you have got is coronary microvascular dysfunction or a microvascular disease. So you have to ask the doctor at that time, is there anything else may be wrong with me? Can you do this test for me, the coronary reactive testing? Now, irrespective of what they will use again, vasodilators, there is no surgery for this. These are tiny blood vessels. It's not like your big coronaries. But what they found was that if you are on a whole food plant-based diet, no oil diet, these little vessels that we talk about, they start dilating and you get less chest pain. If you do exercise, they start dilating and less chest pains. And sometimes they use a TENS unit that also increases the blood supply and decreases the pain. The third thing after this is coronary vasospasm. Again, more common, happens in both, more common in women. So what happens in a coronary vasospasm is a sudden spasm of the coronary artery that reduces the blood supply to the heart, causing chest pain exactly like an heart attack. Now, this can occur during a transition from sleep to awakeness, or hyperventilating, or anxiety and stress. And it can be triggered also, this coronary vasospasm can be triggered by legal and illegal drugs like amphetamine or cocaine. The coronary angiogram, the heart angiogram, is perfectly normal because it is just a spasm. So if you have a healthy individual, a single episode of coronary vasospasm will not have any long-term consequences. And finally, we have the third cause of chest pain, more often in women again. Everybody must have heard about at least sometimes, a broken heart syndrome, a condition that can cause rapid and reversible heart muscle weakness. Causes are emotional or physical stress, emotional grief, extreme anger, sudden surprise, physical strokes, seizures, fever. The symptoms can mimic a heart attack. Chest pain, shortness of breath, and sweating, but it is, most cases, completely reversible. But you are aware of this. You can talk about this. You don't have to remember everything, but at least tell your doctor, are there any other things that could be the reason why I'm having this chest pain? Constant. And then you come across another important thing in women, because we men don't have this. Complications during pregnancy that are associated with increased cardiovascular risk then and in the future. So what happens? You have the hypertensive or the high blood pressure conditions. There's a gestational blood pressure hypertension, which happens in the third trimester. The preeclampsia, which has got the high blood pressure, which has got swelling and the protein in the urine. This is complete bed rest. And eclampsia, which is, of course, seizures. All these can lead to associated with increased cardiovascular risk in the future. Gestational diabetes, increased cardiovascular risk in the future. Preterm and stillbirths, increase cardiovascular risk, and prior pregnancy and complications. Women of color also are more likely to have increased cardiovascular risk than others. So now think about it. You have preeclampsia in about 8% of pregnancies in the US. Now, you talk about blood pressure, this comes down after 2 weeks. If the blood pressure comes down after 2 weeks, the woman says, oh, I didn't have high blood pressure, but she's now more prone to getting a cardiovascular problem in the future. Your gestational diabetes, that your blood sugars come down after 6 weeks. What happens? You're supposed to be looking after your blood sugar because now you have an increased risk. So with this, the advice is take charge of your blood pressure during pregnancy, control your cholesterol, track your blood sugar, don't use tobacco, eat smart, whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, regular exercise, and reduce your stress. So coming down to the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, I'm not going to go into all this, but let me tell you, the most important pillar is your nutrition. Why? Because if your nutrition is bad, like we showed you in the first, second, or third slide, you are going to be a sedentary slob, and you're not going to do any physical activity. You're not going to get any restorative sleep. You're not going to have you're going to have a lot of stress, poor social connections, and then you may fall into the trap of abusive substances. Now, so in conclusion, out of blue symptoms. And if the angio is normal, ask your doctors for other things, complications in pregnancy. And finally, February is a heart month. Go red, spread this heart healthy message so that we can come up to the others. And my last most important slide, the most important slide is, this is my grandson, Kai. He's 10 years old, who ensures I stay young, vibrant, and energetic so that I have the stamina and strength to keep up with him and have fun too. Thank you so very much, everybody, for listening.
Oh, wow. He's adorable.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a great presentation. Did you want to take the slides share off and just be a little bit larger for our audience?
Oh, you want me to stop sharing, right?
Yeah, because then you'll be bigger. Then I can see your beautiful face. How are you? There, it's wonderful.
I'm doing so good. I'm doing so good.
So I'm so excited about your book being on Audible because that is fantastic. If people did not see you the first time, do you want to share a little bit about your personal story?
Well, my personal story is that till the age of 61, I was a compulsive eater of bad food. And I was a glutton. I ate every kind of food available, what was put in front of me. I ate it. And if I did not eat this, then I was a lazy slob. I was a couch potato. And I had a high stress level at that time. I was a type A personality. My way was the only way. Otherwise, it was a highway. And all this led to several problems in my life. At the age of 56, heart disease came knocking at my door at a young age of 56. And then I had to have stents. Had I known then what I know now, I would not have gone for it because I had angina, not an heart attack. But they put stents, and in the process, picture this, my heart stopped. And they had to shock me to get my heart beating again because my plaques were so thick, so they had to use a diamond tip drill. After that, the next 5 years, some people would have thought, this is the time you change, you'll become an athlete. I've done my marathons and I'm climbing mountains. No. I continued my old unhealthy lifestyle for the next 5 years, laughing at my medical problems. But here was the rub, Chef AJ. I was a doctor and I was supposed to treat patients, not become one. So I started slowly withdrawing from life. And I was sad, I was lonely. I would sit for long hours looking vacantly into the distance. And then all these nights were rough. I would get up with horrible dreams, night sweats, and chronic fatigue as a result. And then all this came down to even more medical problems. Pneumonia visited me, bronchitis, sinus infections, and then came the severe diverticulitis, which was because of years I have not been having any fiber. And so put me in the hospital twice, again, with holes, with perforations in my colon, twice. And now picture this one more time. My friend, a surgeon, was standing over me in the operating room and telling me, Akil, if I don't operate on you right now, you may not survive. So I was in a terrible situation. So at the age of 61, my stents failed. And I had to go in. This continued for 5 years before I was back in the hospital. Stents failed. Now I had to have open heart surgery. But that is something that I cannot explain. Something that happened to me, and I told the nurses, mark my words, if all goes well, I will do a half marathon within a year of this surgery. And that was, I don't know why I said that at that time, but looking back, I believe I had only two choices left, Chef AJ. I just two choices left. One was to continue this horrific, painfully slow end of life journey filled with mediocrity, anger, despair, or to make a conscious decision to change, to see how to live my life again. So I took up running. This lifetime couch potato took up running for the first time. First, a little shuffle. I'd never done a little walk, then a little run, and then a jog, and then finally run. And 8 months after that, I ran my first half marathon in Nashville, Tennessee, in 4 grueling hours. But my bruised heart had not failed me. It carried me across the finish line, both figuratively and physically. And that was my story. But I still kept on. I was doing exercise, I was doing other things, but I was still getting problems with my health. Not as much, but diverticulitis and this. That is when I started reading books. And the more I read, all by my colleagues, Dr. Neil Bernard and Dr. T. Collins, and so the more I read, the more I realized there is something here. So I went all in on living, and this is what I call the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. And the moment I did that, eating the whole food plant-based diet, everything was okay. Everything was in the back burner. And so now I'm enjoying my life and really appreciating. But the only thing is my legacy. I want people, I'm not doing this for any kind of a reward, monetary reward. My book listings are going also, all the royalties are going around for PETA, my wife's favorite charity, or American Heart Association, or St. Jude's. So I'm not interested in that. So what I'm interested is that people can change. If I can make some difference in somebody's life, I'm okay with it. And I want to go on talking more about different subjects. I have the thing now because now I'm treating the cause, the prevention, treating the cause of the disease, and not the consequence after it has happened. That, in short, my dear AJ, Chef AJ, this is, in short, my life in a nutshell.
That's wonderful. Thank you for what you're doing now. I bet you wish, in a way, that you could go back to practicing medicine knowing what you know now.
Yes, I am doing a bit of telemedicine also. And I would open my doors to anybody. As I said the last time in your last podcast, if somebody can't get hold of their doctor, I am not your doctor. So don't, but if somebody can't get hold of somebody and really wants to, then can go to my website and get in touch with me. It's akiltaher.com. So you can get in touch with me and ask me a question, and I'll be very happy. I'm not too good, savvy at all these media things, so it may miss out or I may take time, but I would answer you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. I have a few questions in the chat, if you don't mind answering, from live viewers. Thank you. The first one is from Susanna. And she asks, can women who had pre-eclampsia and gestational diabetes in the past still reverse their risk of coronary issues?
Yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer is this, that you have now, because you had preeclampsia and gestational diabetes, your chances of getting cardiovascular disease increases. But if you follow, it's the same thing as people who have got heart disease. If people who have got plaques, we are now following a whole food plant-based no oil diet. So whatever damage was not done and is going to be done because you had preeclampsia is not going to happen anymore. So I think if you follow the diet properly, then there is no need for you to worry. But if you don't, then look, if you are just going to be a flexitarian and cut back on meat, eggs, and dairy, and then eat more vegetables and all that, then you've got to be careful. But even otherwise, even if you're on a whole food plant-based diet, monitor. your blood pressure, monitor your sugars.
Thanks. Wonderful. Here's a question about the neuropathy you mentioned. Jennifer said, you mentioned it. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how that might be linked to heart disease?
You see, diabetic neuropathy is not directly, of course, diabetes is directly related to heart disease. There's no doubt about it. But when I talked about diabetic neuropathy, I was talking about a silent heart attack. Because of that neuropathy, the pain sensations are not carried by the nerves. And therefore, you don't get the chest pain. So that is why you can get a silent heart attack. But diabetics are more because before when doctors treat the consequence of the disease, they say they have to be put on cholesterol, even if your cholesterol is not high. Because the moment you have diabetes, you are in a metabolic syndrome. Your cardiovascular disease, your stroke, your this increases, period. So now, what it does is because of the vascular problems, nerve problems, and your arteries mainly. So you are more at a risk of getting these problems.
Wow. She also want to know how long, when you changed your diet, did it take for you to feel your best?
Well, I started feeling a little better just after my heart surgery because I was eating a little better, not whole food plant-based. But then I was wondering, so after a while I was saying, why am I getting this? The moment I started the plant-based diet, oh boy, it was remarkable. Can I say something honestly over here? I don't mind it. Let people know about it. I was on a Viking cruise recently. I should not have mentioned the name of the cruise, sorry. I was on a cruise and I was vegan, but I did not get whole food plant-based and you're on a ship. My cholesterol jumped up. It was so normal and it just came up. So within a period of 14 days, my cholesterol jumped way up. And my LDL was unbelievable to me. I came back, I got myself into the gear. So that is why I'm looking at options of where one could go where they can get the opportunity of having plant-based. But that is the truth. And that's it. So in a very short time, I'm feeling back to normal again. And I'm sure if I go and get my test done again, it's going to be normal.
Nice. Here's a question from Connie. How can you increase nitric oxide? She's used. What do you think of those test strips? Are they accurate?
I don't know. So if I don't know, I can't make even an educated guess. But I can tell you one thing. There are a lot of foods which are excellent. And one of the things that reminds me is of beets. Beets have tremendous amount of nitric oxide, which can dilate your arteries. And this has happened to me. The few days that I will not have beet in my juice that I have in the morning, I don't know, maybe psychological, but I just have a little more time to run. I mean, I take more time. But the moment I have beet, I get more energy because it opens up my arteries. So nitrates foods, just look up, Google, what are the foods which are rich in nitrates? Boom, you will get 101 this thing. Use those. It's all plant-based.
Yeah. What are your favorite foods? What do you eat in a day? Can you tell us?
Of course. I get up in the morning and very religiously, I have a huge glass of water, lukewarm, with apple cider vinegar in it. And after that, I have my cup of coffee with ripple milk. That's a pea milk because high in protein, very little. And then I have my smoothie of everything that I have in the most uppermost compartment of my refrigerator. It can be pears, bananas outside, of course, bananas, or your blueberries, your strawberries, and your celery and your arugula. And I just put it in, and my wife and I have a glass of that. Then I go into my running and exercising and yoga and all that. And then at about 11 o'clock, 11:30, I get hungry. So I have either scrambled tofu or the bean soup that my wife has made in the day before, or a spinach mushroom or a jackfruit burger. I'm lazy, though. I don't like cooking, to be very honest. But yeah, my wife is good, and I wash up. I'm good at that. So and then in the afternoons, that's my afternoon major thing. So I will eat a lot. I eat about 10 times more than my wife does, but I don't put on weight. So then I go into the afternoons where, of course, we'll have a lot of salads and vegetables, and again, plant-based, not processed. And sometimes as you grow older, Chef AJ, what happens is you don't really looking for some exotic foods, which I don't mind. Younger people should, and they should enjoy their lives. But to me, if I stick to 3 or 4 basics, I'm okay. So in the evening, when you have your vegetables, and then I'm very this thing about Ezekiel bread. And Ezekiel, what you call those muffins, and Ezekiel bread with that raisins in it. So I use a lot of Ezekiel whole grain bread. So in all my meals. And then, of course, I do my own dessert. I take a little raisin, I take a little what you call dates, and then I will put in a little cocoa, and then I will put on a little saffron and bananas, and then make a nice smoothie, which is out of this world. Why would anybody go for other desserts? I can eat that for morning, evening, and night.
That's great. Did your wife change your diet when you changed yours?
My wife had become a vegetarian long before I, because she did it on the basis of cruelty to animals. I did it on the basis of health. So she's 25 years ahead of me. But the vegan part of it was when I became vegan. She was a vegetarian, though.
Nice. Well, I bet she was happy when you changed your diet.
Pardon me?
I bet she was happy when you changed your diet.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, we both are now, and she does her exercising but you never know. I'm never looking at, what one thing that never bothered me. Longevity is not an aspect of life. It's how I'm leading my life. That is more important to me. If I can jump right now, and if I can just get my grandson and throw him up in the air and catch him back, hey, little things make me happy.
That's great. Thank you. Here's a question from Lisa. Do you recommend a continuous glucose monitor to keep track of blood sugar as something that is helpful, even if you don't have full-blown diabetes?
You don't have to do that complete. There are two things. You can get your hemoglobin A1C done, which should be in your 5.8, this thing for normal. If you're diabetic, of course, it should be below 7, but I believe it should be below 6.5, whatever it is, even with your treatment. So you don't necessarily have to do every day, but if you are diabetic, then you can do your fasting blood sugars or your hemoglobin A1Cs now and then and find out. But if you are on your whole food plant-based diet, make no mistake, it is not the bananas, it is not the pears that is causing you diabetes. It is the protein, and it is the meat and the eggs and all that is causing you, the saturated fats in your dairy. When you cannot, the sugar goes over there, but the cells are blocked by fat and they come back into the blood. So that is my main idea, that you will not need to even monitor once you're on a whole food plant-based diet. Even for blood pressure, I mean, what is this? You go to a doctor's office and give your arm? It's ridiculous. Everybody can afford now. I mean, not everybody. What I'm saying is you can get a blood pressure. You can go to the fire station, but get it done once in a week for 4 or 5 times if you've got blood pressure, or once in 2 weeks, 4 or 5 or 6 times. Take the mean of the top, take the mean of the bottom. That is your true blood pressure. Not true, but that is your blood pressure. Or you go to a doctor's office, white coat syndrome, you get the doctor increases the pills and tells you take it back. You are going back home, you feel great, you go back into the doctor's office 3 months, again your blood pressure is high, he increases more, he adds a pill. It's a game.
Yep. So Jennifer's saying, could you share your exact recipe for your smoothie and your dessert?
It'll cost you something, Jennifer. But in any case, let me start with the dessert. I have this Vitamix that I use, and I put the raisins and the dates and bananas and a little bit of either oat milk or the pea milk. Mostly I put oat because I use the pea milk in the morning and it has got a little bit more fat. So I put that, and then I put a little saffron and a little cocoa. And if I don't like ice, but my wife does, so we put a little ice for her, and then let it go on fast. It'll become a mushy little thing, and it is just heavenly. And at the same time, regarding what was the other recipe she wanted?
The date, a recipe for dessert with dates that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's what I already gave, what I told you. But she wanted another recipe too.
The smoothie.
The smoothie is the one. Yeah, the smoothie is the one. I look into the refrigerator, whatever fruits are there, but I think I've now got dependent on it. So pears, bananas, grapes, blueberries, and then if the celery is there, I will take a stalk of celery, little arugula, because I like the bitter, this thing tastes sometimes, and I will just put all these things and put a little water in it and let it go on for a while, very short while, because you don't want to. I know when doctors like Dr. Esselstyn and all say this, you've got to chew your things. I agree. But I don't have that kind of time to have so much chewing. So I do this, which is better than doing nothing. So I get my smoothie out. It is delicious. I wish people could taste my smoothie. It is not one of those things like the green things that are not going in. It is beautiful. So I use this as my smoothie. Oh, by the way, I forgot. In my smoothie, I put a piece of turmeric, the actual turmeric, not the powder, and a piece of ginger, and chia seeds, but which is overnight, which I put it in a bottle with water. So I take a tablespoon of that and a tablespoon of flaxseed powder. I forgot completely. But that is what I do.
Thanks. The question about the nitric oxide in the beets, they're asking, does it matter if the beets are cooked or raw?
Interesting question. And I don't know. But I usually bake them. Now, I cannot tell you exactly whether the nutrients are lost by baking or it is better to have. I've tried beets. Now, this is personal. Beets I've tried before, uncooked, and somehow it upsets my stomach. So I sort of bake them or sometimes boil them. But not to an extent that you become soft. No. It's just nice,
Nice. Great. Thanks. Okay. Lots of questions are coming in. This one says, can my clarified plaque get better on a plant-based diet? And can an aortic aneurysm get better on a plant-based diet?
The last question, let me say, aortic aneurysm is a danger. An aortic aneurysm, if it is to an extent that can rupture, which is again more common in women, those tears of the aorta more common in women than men, which I should have mentioned before. This is something that your again, endothelium is going to get better, but it is already blown up. And so the question is, over here, it is not blockage. We are talking about a rupture. So that way, I think that becomes the weight and the surgical part of it. But obviously, it is going to help you. If people just don't realize this, that when I talked about the 50,000 miles of arteries that runs in your body, that is in your brain, in your kidneys, and in men. So many times I've told them, give up, do this, they won't listen. But when I tell them your penile arteries are getting blocked first because they are the tiniest, then boom, it gets into the head. So there's so many arteries. So if you're just going to look at one aspect of it, it's not going to be worth it. But I think aneurysm becomes a vascular problem, surgeon and all of them go to meet. But there is nothing wrong in doing a whole food plant-based diet. No matter what you have, whether you've got cancer or whether you've got heart disease or you've got a stroke or what have you, a connective tissue disorder, arthritis, there is no harm in having whole food plant-based diet and all that. And if you have to, you can exercise. Even in bed, you can do your exercise, older people. I just gave a talk, I think, what older people, what exercise they should do in bed and all that. But you have to move. You have to move. I don't like this concept of even the lifestyle medicine that you got to do half an hour, 150 minutes in a week. That's not the point. The point is I can do 30 minutes of exercise and then go into my couch and stay the whole day on my couch. You're going to keep moving.
Yeah. Absolutely. Lisa wants to know, is all oil to be avoided?
All oil should be avoided, number one. But again, the Mediterranean diet, which says the worst of the oils are the palm oil and the coconut oil, period. Crisco and all that lard, that is the worst of the lot. That you should not even touch with a 10-foot pole. But in the Mediterranean diet, they say the canola oil, the olive oil, all these are unsaturated fats. So they remain in a liquid form. But the moment you talk about Crisco and all that, they're saturated, coconut, they sort of become solid, room temperature. So those should be avoided totally. These should be avoided totally too, if you can, but they're unsaturated. They're better than the saturated fats.
Yeah. Well, someone's saying, but what if you don't like the taste of the food without the oil? See, I think oil's disgusting. I don't think it enhances the food.
Correct. Absolutely. I agree with you totally. And I think someone has put down, once I read on Facebook, that if you don't have the time to actually get your spices that you put in the oil and then you sort of saute it, you can do it on a dry this thing. And you can keep it beforehand, all these roasted spices, and try to use things which will make your food taste better. Oil does not make. It is your garlic and it's your cardamom. It is your, what have you, there are so many different caraway seeds and what they call the pomegranate powder that is there. I don't remember the name now. But all these things are spices that you want. And mustard seeds. So use this different seeds and things like the spices to get your food taste better. And then you'll wonder, oh my God, I'm not tasting oil anymore.
Because nobody eats food with oil without spices. It would taste disgusting. It's like you said, and when you use oil, you need even more spice like salt because it coats your taste buds on your tongue. So nobody just uses oil without seasoning.
Absolutely. But I tell you that I am a culprit on that too, because at times I'm in a situation I cannot avoid, and then it's a question of spraying or whatever. But as far as possible, I avoid.
Nice. Thank you. So Uma wants to know, if you have heart disease, do you have to be on an SOS-free diet, or is just being vegan or plant-based good enough?
That's an interesting question. I've decreased my salt intake, and my blood pressure had never been high. So I don't think the sugar itself, I don't use it anymore. Outside processed sugar, I don't use, period. But I use a lot of sugar that is fructose, but is natural with the fiber. So I don't really think oil, yes, salt, yes. Salt, not necessarily. I use salt. Oil, as I said before, most of the times it is no oil. And finally, sugar I don't use. So to me, this is okay. If somebody says, I like to put a half a teaspoonful in my coffee, okay. It's better than using oil. I think so.
Yeah.
But if you want to truly reverse, then you got to follow this thing, Because a lot of people even turn around and ask me this question, which your audience may not know, that if your cholesterol is high, you make more. I make tremendous amount of cholesterol. Cholesterol is necessary for vitamins and your hormones and all that. But I make tremendous amount. I had no meat, no eggs, no dairy on that cruise. The cholesterol shot up. So my point is this, that even if your cholesterol is high, if you're on a very strict whole food plant-based diet, think about it. I'm not asking people, but this is my logic. That why would you take a statin? Because if your endothelium is healthy, you're not a heart patient, but you've got a history. If your endothelium is healthy, those culprits that I was talking about will not disrupt your endothelium, even if your cholesterol is high. But again, this is my thinking. So if you have a problem, then you have got to be very careful. I'm really enjoying this. I hope your viewers are enjoying this. I'm thoroughly.
They adore you, and they thank you so much for your work. So yes, absolutely. Where do you live?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh wow! See,
I would love to do more talks. I was invited to Austin in the University of Texas that I went on and gave a talk. And I would do anything if anybody has a group of people that wants to listen to my story and how you can reverse or how you can transform your life. Hey, if I did it at the age of 61 after an open heart surgery for my health, you can do it for your health too.
Well, it's very inspiring. You kind of answered this, but she might have typed it after while you were talking. Meg says, why do you think your cholesterol went up on a cruise? Yeah.
You want the true answer or okay, anyway.
I want both answers.
The trouble was I had no choice. And I had to put over there. Either I would have, and call me for whatever reason I was weak, but I could not just live on the salads. So I did not take any meat, no eggs, no dairy. No, I was still a vegetarian. No dairy too, I was a vegan. But it so happened that there was saturated fat in there, which I did not realize. Not feeling good about it. I came back, I was feeling miserable. I was not too happy also on the trip. But that was what it is. And that's an honest answer. It shot up.
Yeah. But it's fine now, right?
Yes, yes.
That's fantastic. We have a nice comment in the chat from Linda about you, that you could listen to, she could listen to you all day, that you're fascinating. Oh, and Cindy says, is there, or how is the whole food plant-based community in Georgia?
Well, we have pockets of people who have formed groups and have done great things. Some of them were on your show. Shobha Swami, for example, was on your show with the cooking things.
Do you know Dr. Leah Macklin?
No.
Okay, because she's on the show tomorrow, and she lives in Georgia. She's a lifestyle medicine physician who was referred by Shobha.
Oh, wow. Wow. So I'm still, because I moved Chef AJ in about last 4 years. See, my home was in a small town, Gadsden in Alabama. And I moved to Atlanta because of my children and my grandson. So I am here only for about 4 years. So I don't have connections as such, but I have a license to practice in Georgia as well as in Alabama.
That's great. Susanna says that you have a great way of explaining things in a way that everyone can understand. Oh, I missed one of the questions. How can you help somebody with white coat syndrome?
Tell the doctors to stop wearing white coats. No. So the point I'm making is that, you see, those days are gone when you felt that doctor was the know-all, be-all of all things. No, they have a place in society. They do a lot of good work. And the consequence of the disease also is required in certain cases where you're in acute appendicitis, you're not going to take a carrot and eat it. You have to go to the hospital. Or if you are having a heart attack, you need that thing. So I am not going against my medical field. There are excellent doctors, and I take my hat off to them. But we have to understand that we are not, there's so much of information that people can get. So in my opinion, again, if you are a diabetic and you come to me, I will see you 2 or 3 times. On the 4th time, if you don't know more about your disease than I won't treat you. You follow what I'm saying? That gives them the thing of taking responsibility of their own illness. Because you've got everything if you Google it. So why should you not know about high blood pressure more? Because I need to know about high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, acute problems, this, that, burns, this. You have only 1 or 2 problems, no more than me. I'd be happy if you educate me.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't wear a white coat. I wear a white coat just for if I have to do some surgery, minor surgery, and there's blood going to come on me, and that's the only time I use, because I don't have those huge masks and all that. So that's it. But I'm doing mostly telemedicine now. And next year is a big year, Chef AJ. Next year I turn not only 75, I'm my 50th year anniversary, and I retire from my work only doing telemedicine then.
Wow. When's your birthday?
March 27th.
Oh my God, I'm March 22nd. Well, we'll have to celebrate.
Aries, right?
Yep, just like you. That's why you're so passionate.
But amazing. I'm so delighted that you're such a big, and the last time the responses I got really floored me, and I answered quite a few.
Well, it's a pleasure having you. Maybe we should have you come back on your 75th anniversary.
Oh, why not?
Birthday. Anniversary of your birth.
And if you need me for any other topics and people are interested, they can put it down. And if they think that they want to hear about something, I'll be very happy to come on your show anytime and talk to them.
Yep. Oh, well, we'd love to have you back. Susanna, who asked the white coat question, said that every time her husband gets his blood pressure taken at the doctor, it's high, but every time he takes it, it's home at normal. Yet the doctors won't believe his home tracking. Why don't you just make a video of it? How could they not believe it? I mean, I
What
mean,
we should do is, in that case, some of the patients have come and told me that. I've told them, get your apparatus over here in the clinic. And then we check both and tell them if it is yours is wrong or ours is wrong or whatever it may be. Ours can't be wrong because we are doing it over and over again with a cuff and listening with the stethoscope. A doctor will listen. And if you find that yours is not proper, then we'll tell you, or whatever the problem, that can be sorted out if both the blood pressures are done by two different machines. Period. Next time when he goes to the doctor's office, carry your own machine and go.
yeah, why not? Good idea.
And again, it could be white coat. Because of the white coat, your blood pressure is rising. And because you're home and relaxed, your blood pressure is going down. Give you a very interesting example. When I was in the Middle East for 11 years with the American Naval Base, I used to play a game, what is called as squash or racquetball, that very strenuous game. And the traffic was maddening. So each time we went around to play the game, I was, this is years back, we are talking about 70s, my blood pressure was high. We used to do the studies. And then after the game, racquetball game, very intense, strenuous, my blood pressure came down. So the whole idea is that, yes, a white coat can be the problem, the machine can be the problem, your day can be a problem, that day if you had a fight with your spouse can be a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if there's any more. Can somebody who lives in Atlanta see you in person?
Not as a physician, because I don't have a clinic. But if they want to meet me and discuss, or on the phone or Zoom or a FaceTime, I would be very happy.
Oh, that's great. Well,
I want
thanks.
to talk to a larger audience in Atlanta, because I've just come in, so that is what I want to do, get my home base. I may give a talk in February about this women's health in my own town, Gadsden, in my hospital over there.
There used to be an annual conference before I knew you, the Remedy in Atlanta, but Benji Kurtz hasn't put one on since like 2019. The pandemic stopped it, of course.
Yeah, whatever. But as long as I am able to do these things and go on to Dr. Neil Bernard's and yours and all these shows that I'm doing, I am happy. I've done podcasts even as far as New Zealand and Australia and India. And I'm going to be in where the president is today. I'm going to Cambodia and Vietnam in about 7 days' time.
Oh, what are you going to do there?
I'm going on a vacation.
Oh, how nice. Renee says, were you born and raised in Gadsden?
Oh, no, not at all. Can't you tell by my accent?
Oh, you have an accent?
So no, I was born in Mumbai or Bombay. I like to call it Bombay still. And then I, as a young man, I went and traveled to the Middle East, and I spent 11 years in Bahrain, and then I came to the United States pretty late. I came at the age of 40. And I had a lot of catching up to do. And that was one of the reasons that I talked about, that I did not pay enough attention to my health, my family, and friends. I worked. And if I'm not working, I was eating.
Anything you missed from your former diet?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I should tell the audience that I do have a drink every single day, one drink for the last 25 to 30 years. Now, if they ask me, the research has been done, there is no benefit of having alcohol, no increase of HDL, no this thing, nothing. So if you come and ask me, should I have for health reasons? No. I'm not going to advocate drinking. If you're not drinking, don't drink. But if somebody comes and says that, hey, I just want to have a drink, like I'm having a drink one a day, where it is me time. My dog cannot bother me. A doorbell rings, I don't answer. This is me and my time, and I love it. So I don't want to give it up.
That's
We
okay.
have to be human and give our honest this thing. That is what I'm doing right now. I can tell you, oh, I don't drink, I don't do this, I'm very spiritual, I go up in the mountains and I start. No, I'm human, just like all of your audiences. I make mistakes, I fall, and then I get up.
Oh, here's a question that I hear a lot, and it is from, it was about LDL, but I'll look for that. But Susanna's saying, where did you go to, Renee says, where did you go to medical school?
I went to medical school in a state in Maharashtra, in India, in Nagpur. And that's where I did my medical studies. And then when I was in the Middle East, I did my family practice residency and program, and I got certified with the American University of Beirut. So that is how I came. And then I came over to States and went to Ohio and Pennsylvania. And when I did my family practice residency again, and got my family practice certification.
Cool. So Zinda says, if I have an LDL of 97, should I be avoiding all of the plant fats?
If you got an LDL of 97 and you are having a strong history, or you got cholesterol, or you got blood pressure, or your blood sugar is high, then you have to. You have to avoid nuts and all that, which I did not avoid on that cruise. I ate nuts like crazy. And so for that reason, you have to avoid nuts. But if you are not having any problems whatsoever, still 96 is high. You have to bring it down. If you got a heart problem, if you got somebody, then it should be 70 and under. LDL.
Good. Thanks. Here's a question from Pat. Her MD recommends she gets a body scan. How does one get a scan for their blood vessels? The MD says my cholesterol is high and I won't do statins.
The thing is that there are now calcium scans done. If you have got high cholesterol, or even if you don't have a high cholesterol, got a strong family history, go and get your calcium score done. If your calcium score is in a certain thing, then you have to worry about it. But if you have got high, did you say LDL, right?
LDL.
LDL. You have to follow, is she following a whole food plant-based diet? No oil diet?
I don't know. Maybe they.
If she follows a whole food plant-based oil diet, and it should go down, unless she's like me, who's making more cholesterol, then is a flip question. I mean, the flip of a coin. I don't know. I don't think that if you are very strict with your whole food plant-based oil diet, I don't think that you require a statin. But if you want to, that is perfectly all right, to bring it down. And it depends again on a lot of things, you see, because this is a question that has come up. But your age, your family history, what are the other comorbidities, all those things have to be taken into consideration before I can actually bring out an answer. But the short answer is that, yes, statins, if you want to right now, if you're young in this thing, you should be using statins to bring it down. If you cannot bring it down by whole food plant-based oil diet. But if you're my age, or older, my age, think about one thing. People don't understand this, but if my coronaries are blocked, and they've got stents or bypasses been done. Remember, at my age, there are a lot of new vessels forming, collaterals. Well, a younger person does not have those collaterals. So if I've got those collaterals, that means that irrespective of 100% blockage, those collaterals are healthy because the endothelium is healthy now. So the collaterals will take the blood distally to the heart, even with my block. So I can take the risk of not having a statin, but younger people, I don't think so.
Thank you. Saw another one here. Do you think it was about chiropractic, if it could help improve heart health? Do you think chiropractic adjustments could improve heart health?
Not to my knowledge. No physical therapy, no chiropractic, no doctors. This thing was telling you. There is no question about it. That these are the internal organs that we are talking about. Sometimes TENS unit helps, like I said, in that particular instance, when you have microvascular problems, the small, tiny vessels that may improve the blood supply. But follow the 6 pillars. You follow the 6 pillars, you're home free.
Thank you. Susanna said when you had the cruise, those 14 days, and you were eating a little bit differently, did you feel any differently?
Yes. I got sick. And I had to be, and then the thing was that I'm so active that I would participate in everything. But you know what? I don't have the right word, but my oomph, it was lost. That oomph that you have, I want to do it, that had gone.
But you feel good now.
Yes, ma'am. I'm feeling good right now, but who knows? Another cruise and no, I'm just kidding.
You're funny. Well,
I'm back to square one then. No, I made it very clear this time that when I'm going to Cambodia, I'm going to eat what the president ate. So,
well, good. Yeah, safe travels for sure.
Those areas usually have a great amount of vegetables and all that,
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Well, this was a lot of fun, and let's have you back maybe on your 75th birthday.
Oh yeah! Wow. Okay, we can sing together, even though I would be all out of tune. But anyways.
That would be great. Well, I look forward to it. Oh, okay. All right. I was going to let you go, but then another question just appeared in the chat from Sonia. Does the saturated fat in nuts and seeds convert into cholesterol?
Yes. All saturated fats, whether it is in a 2% milk or in any other this thing, we Indians have that clarified butter that is called ghee that has got 10 times more harmful effects on your oxidized cholesterol, increase in oxidized cholesterol than your regular butter. So all these things are saturated fats. The thing is cholesterol. Period.
Yep. Great. Well, thank you. It's great catching up with you again. And what is the date that your book will be on Audible so that we can listen to it?
It's in the end of this month. 100% it's going to be. I just finished my final chapter in talking, and so he said that by the end of this month, we'll be uploading it on that and doing it on Amazon. I would love your audience to please buy. Again, it is going to charity. And even if you don't like my voice, please buy the book.
Well, I love your voice, and I will do it. I promise you, because I love to listen more than to read. Okay, I keep wanting to let you go, but then another question appears this time from Lois. Do you recommend red rice yeast?
Yeast is a very well. There are a lot of doctors who have written. Michael, the one who wrote How Not to Die, what's his name?
Dr. Michael Greger.
Michael Greger. Michael Greger talks a lot about yeast. I have not personally experienced East, so I don't know. I'm not much idea about East. I got some East once and I could not tolerate it, so I gave up. But the most important proven anti-inflammatory for your body is turmeric. And if you can get that, you can get it in Trader Joe's or someplace, the whole turmeric, the root turmeric. Yeah. It's the biggest anti-inflammatory proven.
That's great. Thanks, Dr. Taher. It's so good to see you, or I can call you Uncle now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you've been so nice and so pleasing. And I would love to come on your show because the way you handle the speakers is phenomenal. I've seen a lot of your past shows also. And I wish you all the best and continue doing the good work that you are doing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. We have a wonderful doctor from Dr. Taher's neck of the woods tomorrow near Atlanta. Her name is Dr. Leah Macklin, and she will be talking to us about what it's like being a lifestyle medicine doctor, as well as demonstrating a recipe, carrot lox. So be sure to tune in. Thanks.